Welcome back to the channel, and today I wanted to come on and do a little review, share my thoughts on Final Fantasy X, a game I finished about a month ago, and I've been thinking about the game a lot since I finished it. So I wanted to come on and really share my thoughts, and I played the remaster version here, the Switch version on my Switch 2, and have a lot to say about the game. A lot of things I want to talk about. So before we get into that, just want to share my little history with Final Fantasy X. And the first time I played it was actually back when it initially released. And I looked up that release date. It came out in 2001, so pretty hard to believe that we're coming up on the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy X, but I played it back then all those years ago. I actually rented the game and I remember playing it with my cousin. We had it for about a weekend. And after that, I never played the game again. I never bought it, I never owned it. But over these years, these 20 plus years, the game has always stuck with me. I didn't forget about the beginning of the game, the early game, the portion that I played, and a lot of memories stuck with me. And that's something I can say about this game having finished it now is that it's a very memorable game. There's a lot of scenes, a lot of environments, a lot of events that happen in this game that I think are going to stick with you if you've played it. But what I always remembered from my initial, experience with the game was of course the Blitzball, Titus as a character, Xanarkand as a city, Spira as the world. There was just a lot of sort of memories of the environment because the game was so unique at the time, right? But that's where I started. Fast forward to now, all these years later, finally played through the game and really happy I did because, again, there's a lot to love about this game, at least that I found. But my playthrough was kind of interesting. When I started playing the game, I didn't enjoy it right away. Like, I found I would play for about an hour, 2 hours, put the game down, come back to it, play again for an hour or two, put the game down, maybe wait a week, wait a couple weeks, come back to it, do it again. And about, 8 or 10 hours in, I had to pause and think, am I really enjoying this game? Do I want to continue playing it? Is the game for me? And what I found is that early on in the game, there's a lot of cutscenes. Not even just early on, throughout the game, there's a lot of cutscenes in this game. It's a very story driven game, and that requires a lot of patience. And to be quite honest, I'm not the most patient person, but at that point, right, about 10 hours in, let's say, I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep going. And I put the game down again for a few weeks, but something kept urging me, the little voice in my head kept telling me to go back, pick the game up again, and I did. And I'm really glad I did because I think around that like 12, 14 hour mark, everything came full circle and I really started to connect with the game. And I know that's a lot of hours to put into a game before you really start enjoying it, but that was my experience with the game, maybe like around the 12 hour-ish mark. I really started enjoying the game, and I felt like the game really got a lot better towards the back half, or past that initial one third of the game. At least for me, once the story developed, the characters developed, the world opened up a bit. I really started enjoying this game. So just to quickly talk about the story, right? The main character is Titus from Xanarkand, a blitzball player, and Sin comes to the world, and Sin is, this giant enemy basically, and it ends up pulling Titus into another world called Spira. And so you play most of the game in this other world, Spira, and let me tell you that it is absolutely beautiful. The scenery, the environments, the water. It's got a very Hawaiian vibe, at least initially. That's what I thought. But as you're going through the game, you're gonna see a lot of cool, different environments. Snowy mountains, areas with constant lightning storms, forests, fields. All the classics. So very good, diverse scenery and areas in this game. And again, this is an old game, about 25 years old. This is an HD remaster, but I found it looked very good. and I played through the game on my Switch 2 handheld mode, but looked and played very good. So that's kind of the basics of the story. But I gotta say, the characters in this game, the character development, um, the writing, it was all very well done. Like I really enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the story. I didn't think it was a perfect story or the most engaging story, but overall I did really enjoy it. I thought it was good. And I really enjoyed the dialogue between the characters. A lot of people will criticize the voice acting in this game, and to be honest, there is some cringy voice acting scenes. But as a whole, I actually enjoyed the voice acting. I enjoyed Titus's voice acting. I liked when he would reflect and kind of talk to himself. So I enjoyed it. Of course, people point out the laughing scene, and that is a pretty bad, cringy scene, but there's only a few of those I found. Overall, I actually really enjoyed it, but you really feel these characters come together throughout the game. Titus, Waka, Oron, Kamari, just a lot of characters. And you're going to pick up new characters as you go through the game. And what I liked about these characters as well is that they all have their own unique abilities. They all kind of come from different places. They all have, their own agendas in a way, but you're all kind of on this common mission to defeat sin. And as you go through the game, there'll be some twists and turns, some unexpected things. And I really enjoyed the way that the story developed. But let's talk a little bit more about the combat and these characters. And the combat in this game, I really enjoyed. And I'm a fan of turn based combat. And I gotta say, I enjoyed it the whole way through this game. What was kind of cool and unique about this was that during combat, you could switch in and out your party members, on demand while it's your turn without any penalty. And this made the combat really engaging, at least for me, because depending what enemies you're fighting, you're gonna want to switch up your party, right? And certain characters are gonna be stronger against certain enemies. So, for example, Waka, the blitzball player, he'll be strong against flying enemies. And, same goes for other characters. And what was also pretty good was that your characters that fight in the battle are the ones that gain experience. So you're kind of motivated to be switching characters in and out through combat so that everybody gains experience and can level up. And what was also cool was the overdrive ability. So you have an overdrive gauge, and as you're battling, as you're fighting, this overdrive gauge will fill, and then all the characters have their own unique abilities. And it was also cool that to execute an overdrive, it wasn't just a button press. Each character had a different, I don't know, mini game, for lack of a better term, to actually execute the overdrive and do maximum damage. So, for example, to execute some characters' overdrives, you might have to enter a certain button combination, really quickly. And so that was cool. That kept the combat very interesting. The magic in this game was good. A lot of different spells, the abilities, the special abilities. Kamari, for example, has an ability to steal enemies' abilities. So you might steal an enemy's ability, and then you have that throughout the game as an overdrive ability. So all these characters had different unique abilities like that, and it really kept the game fresh and really kept the combat interesting. So really enjoyed the combat in this game. Now, aside from the combat, the leveling system or the sphere grid in this system was also something very kind of unique and interesting to me. And I gotta say, at the beginning of the game, I didn't like it. Like, I found it very cumbersome, and it felt like a lot of work to have to go through this sphere grid system, leveling up all my characters. And you have a lot of characters, so it takes time to go through and do this. But by the end of the game, I actually really enjoyed it. I liked figuring out, deciding what path I wanted to take, what abilities I wanted to unlock. And overall, I think it was very good. It was fun. I enjoyed it. And I could see a lot of replayability here to go back, play the game again, and having a deeper understanding now of the sphere grid system, taking different paths, trying different things, developing characters in different ways. And that's the beauty, I think, of that system is you can develop your characters in different ways. So very interesting system overall. I enjoyed the sphere grid system as I understood it more, throughout the game. So the sphere grid system was good. Now I can't, talk about the game without talking about the music. And the music was awesome in this game. Really great score, really great tracks, well composed. Even sort of the religious hums and that atmospheric music throughout the game. Very catchy. I really enjoyed it. And even having beat the game, I find myself coming back and listening to the music, on YouTube. I think it's that good. It's some of the best Final Fantasy music to me. I really enjoyed it and still really am enjoying listening to it. But I want to come back to the world setting of this game, right? Spira. And I got to just emphasize again how good everything looked. Like, I found myself taking a lot of screenshots as I was going through the game. And I don't do that a lot, but the world was just so good looking, the water, all the different environments, um, just a beautiful setting and something that you don't see in other Final Fantasy games. Like, this world felt very unique compared to the other games, and I really enjoyed it. Really found myself engaged in the world setting, in Spira, as I navigated through it. Now, the overall pace of the game, as I kind of mentioned or alluded to before, I found the beginning of the game to be pretty slow. A lot of story development, a lot of cutscenes. You got to be patient with this game. But after about a third of the way through, the game really develops and opens up, and there's a lot to do in this world. A lot of combat. I didn't even talk about the Aeon system yet, with Yuna, the summoner, where you can summon in these different Aeons. And that system was awesome. And what was cool is there's optional Aeons that you can find and unlock and use in combat. So I found Yojimbo. If you've played the game, you'll know about that through my playthrough, but I didn't have the money to buy him. So later on through the game, I came back, got him, and that was just an awesome character, an awesome summon. Loved using him in the later part of the game. And there's just so much that's unique about this game and so much to do. Like, there's a ton of side content. I just played through the main story, but I could tell there's a lot of optional content in this game. And this game felt like a very complete game. And that's kind of a funny thing to say, but these days, you'll get games and they don't often feel complete. They feel rushed, feels like they're missing certain things. But Final Fantasy X, at least the remaster, it felt very complete to me. Like, there's a lot to do, deep combat system, great turn-based combat, a lot of items, a lot of environments to explore, a lot of bosses, especially towards the back half of the game. And let me tell you, some of the bosses do get very challenging. So in this game, you will at times need to grind, but I didn't find I actually had to do too much grinding until towards the very end of the game with some of the final bosses. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the combat, so that wasn't a bad thing. And of course, we had Blitzball in this game, and Blitzball just very memorable, very fun kind of mini game throughout the game. So there's a lot to love about Final Fantasy X, and I haven't played 10-2 yet, but that'll be coming up. So let me just maybe summarize my thoughts on Final Fantasy X. So the story, I think it was good. I wouldn't say it was great, but definitely good. It was engaging. Um, about halfway through the game, I found myself, really engaged. I'm wanting to see what happens, where the story goes, how it ends, and there's some twists and turns in there. And just it was a good story. Really enjoyed the story. The characters, came to love a lot of the characters, Titus, Oron, Yuna, Waka, Kamari, a lot of good characters. And again, the dialogue between them was good. You really kind of feel like they're building relationships and bonds in this game. And very good writing, I found, with the characters and the story dialogue. So, characters, excellent. The environment, excellent. One of the best looking environments in a Final Fantasy game. Really enjoyed that. Combat, excellent. Music, excellent. So, as you can see where I'm going with this, I really enjoyed Final Fantasy X. It's up there as, one of my favorite Final Fantasies. Not my favorite, but it's up there amongst the best to me personally. And I really like these turn based Final Fantasy games, but I think I'm gonna keep a lot of memories from this game and glad I came back to it after all these years. And again, just a lot to love about Final Fantasy X and a lot of memorable moments, memorable characters, and really glad I played through it. So if you haven't played it, I definitely recommend it. And I want to hear your comments, your thoughts. I think this is a bit of a divisive game in the Final Fantasy franchise, the series. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people do like it. I'm definitely in the camp that likes it, but let me know your thoughts below. What do you like about the game? What don't you like? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? I'd love to hear all that. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe for more. And that's it. Have a good day.